Don't get burned if you're buying a home this summer. Hey there, it's Brennen Klaus. I'm your favorite Seattle area realtor. Today we're gonna talk about how to not get absolutely roasted if you're in the home buying process this summer in Seattle and beyond. I'm talking about buyer's remorse and how to make sure that once you get into that home and you get settled, you don't have a bunch of regrets from buying that property. If you've watched every single YouTube video on first-time home buyer process and how to get through the process of getting your first home, this is going to be for you because this goes beyond those basic tips of get pre-approved, get your offer submitted. This is all about those things that you need to think about prior to that to make sure that you are getting the right home and that you're not going to regret it later. Stay tuned for this episode. We're going to talk about how to not get burned this summer if you're buying. And if you are already in the buying process, put in the comments below what the most surprising part has been for you. I'd love to hear from you all what you're thinking in your own home buying journey. First up is that sunny homes and sunny weather can really be deceiving when you're trying to buy a home. It's like showing up to a brunch where someone only shows up and they only appear in good lighting, or they always have a filter on Instagram. Homes that are shown in the sunlight can hide a lot of the different intricacies, especially in Seattle, that you might notice in the winter. A home in July is not going to be the same as a home in November. So think about what's the daylight like. So the yard, it's gonna be lush and green. The living room with the bright windows from the summer sun, it's gonna feel super bright and airy. And that basement that's typically moldy is going to be dry as a bone because you're not gonna have rain for the past 3 days. Now, all of these things are something that you have to pay attention to as you're looking at homes in the summer. So you want to have a think or maybe talk to your expert agent about what are those places going to feel like in November. So that basement, is it going to be wet in November? How does the water drain out of the yard? What will the yard look like when it's not super lush and green? Will there be more or less privacy when the trees are without their leaves in the winter? And how will the basement feel at 3 p.m. in the winter when the sun is about to set? Is the living room going to feel like a cave? These are all things you want to think about as you go into buying homes in the summer because they're going to be a lot different when you get into that winter time and you're living in the home. Be curious, ask questions, and remove some of those rose-tinted glasses that you may have on in the summer. So the school zone illusion is number 2. Now, when you're buying a home on the same street as a school, you may think in May that it's super peaceful and quiet and so nice. Maybe if you have kids, your kids can walk to the school. But what is that going to be like come September? Is it going to be bumper to bumper traffic for school drop-off? Are you even going to be able to back out of your driveway? Or will the noise from recess drive you up the wall when you're working from home? These are all really important things to think about if you're buying near a school. So before you buy near a school in the summer, make sure you drive by during pickup and drop-off time. Are there traffic guards in the street blowing whistles? Is it easy to navigate around the neighborhood during that time? Make sure that you check out that vibe of that property and that street before you go in and purchase that home. And maybe this is exactly what you're looking for, but at least you'll be going in with your eyes fully open. Have you seen a listing where the neighborhood feels completely different at different times of the day? Drop a comment and let us know because I'm certain that you're not alone with that one. Air conditioning, which is that pricey surprise number 3. Here's a summer specific mistake, assuming that all houses have air conditioning. Especially in Seattle when there are a lot of older homes, not every house has air conditioning. And spoiler alert, it can be really costly to install. Especially in older homes, installing air conditioning can be difficult. If you have central air and it's easy to hook up a heat pump for the air conditioning, that might be an easy fix. But you also have to think about the electrical costs. You have to think about if you need a permit for that. So sometimes it can be more difficult to add air conditioning. There are mini splits now, which make it a little bit easier, but the cost of that is going to be somewhat expensive. It's about $5,000 per unit for a mini split, and that's not including the install. And you may need 1 mini split per room that you want to air condition. So something to keep in mind as you're thinking about adding that air conditioning option if you don't already have it. So go into your showing and ask, does the home have air conditioning? How is the home cooled in the summer if it's not air conditioning? If it's just opening up the windows, you may want to think a little bit more about what the cost is if you're going to add that air conditioning unit once you own the home. Number 4, don't get distracted by staging. Now, I have seen it all. You know, you see the cute beach towels, the lemonade pitcher. It is like an HGTV dream in a lot of these homes, and that's because staging does work. I'm an advocate of staging on every listing that we put on the market. It helps buyers envision themselves in the property. It gives them the psychological benefit of seeing the property at its fullest potential. But you want to go in and have a little bit of a discretionary mindset about what staging could be covering. Is staging hiding a layout that might not be as functional as it seems? Are there rugs in places where maybe the floor is damaged or there's sun damage to the wooden floor? And you may want just to be careful with letting staging lead you too far down a path of thinking that a home is perfect, when in reality it may need more than you were considering. So go in with a checklist and make sure you understand what benefits staging is giving you as a buyer and which drawbacks it could be covering up, because I can guarantee you staging definitely covers up some of the biggest flaws of homes by allowing you to see other ways that the home can be used that might not be the way that you would live in it day to day. So be aware of the staging and what it's doing. Now we're going to talk about that too fast offer FOMO. So I get it all the time. There are people out looking at houses and then the agent says, yep, this one will go fast. And they're probably not wrong. A lot of the homes in Seattle still do sell fast. We're coming into a slower season, but oftentimes there are fast sales. So you need to go in educated and smart. I've seen buyers do it before where they bid way over the list price without understanding the comparables, or they skip the inspection completely and don't have a seller inspection to look at either. And these can all be big mistakes to make just because you're feeling the pressure to put in an offer and do it quickly. Just because the market's hot doesn't mean you should panic buy. Go in with a calculated and strategic approach. Make sure you understand all of the data around the price you're paying and all of the contingencies in the offer, and that you go in with a smart plan to make sure that you're not just buying something because it feels like it's exciting and that you might miss out if you don't get this one. You should be starting early in your process to look at as many houses as you can before you actually find the one that will become the one that you make an offer on. Don't under budget your move-in costs. You'd be surprised how many buyers max out their down payment and forget to save some money for those little items that you may need to do once you're in the home. Talking about replacing those dingy blinds in the living room, doing a deep clean of the property before you move in, changing the locks, which can be a really important one, especially if you're going into a remodeled home where a bunch of contractors had access to the home, or even minor repairs that were on your inspection. You don't want to max out your down payment and all of your savings just to get into the home and say, we forgot we need a new fridge. So make sure that you're budgeting carefully and keeping those costs in mind for actually moving into the property. Last, but certainly not least, is falling for the big, beautiful yard without thinking it through. Now, I get it. In the summer, especially in Seattle, yards look amazing. There's green grass, there's lush trees and bushes, and there's a real appeal to thinking about running around in the yard without your shoes on, barbecues in the summer, and really enjoying your outdoor space, which you should. And Seattle gives us the great weather to do that in July and August, maybe not more than that. But one thing you need to think about is, what is the maintenance of this yard going to be over time? Are you going to hire someone to care for the yard throughout the rest of the year? Are you going to do it yourself? Are you going to be a part-time landscaper? And come November, again, are you going to love this yard, or are you really going to hate it by that point? You have to think about mowing, watering, what is that tree stump over in the corner? These are all things that can add up and may become more of a headache than you're willing to think when you're romanticizing that great yard during the summer months. So just think through, are you ready to landscape that yard year round, or is it just a summer yard? Buying a home in the summer can be one of the biggest benefits. You have longer days to tour, you can get settled before fall or before school starts, but it comes with some of its own traps as well. The best advice I can give you is stay focused and act smart during this time to make sure that you're really grounded in your approach and that you know exactly what you're looking for and you're looking past some of these common pitfalls. And get yourself a local agent who knows how to read between the lines of the shiny listing photos. If you're buying a home in Seattle, or you're thinking of buying anywhere in the country and you'd like a recommendation on who to work with, or if you're thinking about working together, we'd love to help. You can drop drop a comment or send a direct message or text or email to set up an appointment for a free consultation. I'd also love to know in the comments below, what's one thing from this list that really surprised you? Or if you've already bought a home, what's one thing you wish I would have warned you about? Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next time. Don't forget to subscribe for more buyer tips that go beyond the basics. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.